whatever sign is there in the first term, do the magic abracadabra and give that sign there. Okay, I have also told you the reason for that. Hi friends, welcome to the new video. In this video we are going to do exercise 14.2 question number 4 first. Okay, we have solved these type of problems, but we have not solved power 4. But as you can see, first we will be solving question number 2 here. Okay, so it's p raised to 4 minus 81. Do you remember a formula which you have used, which is a square minus b square is equal to a plus b, a minus b. When do we use this formula? We use this formula when we have two squares and there is negative sign in between them. But now here you don't say square of this p raised to 4, it's power 4. So p raised to 4 we can write as p into p into p into p, that is this p square multiplied by this p square, that is we can write it as p square to the power 2. So we will write this p raised to 4 as p square to the power 2 and minus this is simple. 81 can be written as 9 square. So now you can see there are two squares and there is negative sign in between them. So look at the formula carefully. When you have two squares and negative sign in between them, what you do? You add the two terms once in one bracket and subtract in another bracket. So what we are going to do? We are going to do p square and 9 add in one bracket and p square and 9 subtract in another bracket. Now, many students, what they make the mistake is they finish the question here only. But this is not the final answer. See, you can even still solve this second bracket further, because you can write this 9 as 3 square. Now see, there are again two squares with negative sign in between them. You cannot do anything for this first bracket because there is a positive sign there. But in the second term, second bracket, you can still solve it further, use the same formula again. So, how to use the formula? If you have two squares with negative sign in between them, then what you do? You just add the two terms whose squares are there, okay? Add the terms in one bracket, subtract them in another bracket. And that's it. And keep the first bracket as it is, p square plus 9. So friends, this is our final answer for this question. I hope you have understood the question. So now we will solve the first question. Okay. So we are going to do question number 1 now. It's similar. Only thing is that there are both the variables here. So first question, a raised to 4 minus b raised to 4. How can we write this a raised to 4 as? We can write it as a square to the power 2. See, a square to the power 2, we have used these kind of formulas in exponents and power chapter, okay. If you have any confusion, you can go to that chapter also, okay. I will share the link in the description box. So, if you have two powers to the same base, then what you do, you just multiply the two powers. So, if it was like this, a raised to power 2 raised to power 5, then what will be the answer? It will be a raised to power 2, 5s are 10. Now, as it was power 4, so I have written it as a square to the power 2. So, it will be a raised to 4. And similarly, b raised to 4 will be b square to the power 2. Now, we can see that there are two squares and negative sign in between them. So, we are going to use this formula, a square minus b square is a plus b, a minus b. How to use the formula? Many students make mistake while solving this type of questions of power 4, okay. So, how to do it? Now, see, the terms whose squares are there, forget about the squares, okay. Take out those squares and just look at the terms. Add those terms in one bracket and subtract in another bracket. That's it. So what you do here, just forget the two squares which are there and then add these two terms in one bracket and subtract in another bracket. So it will be a square plus b square in one bracket and a square minus b square in another bracket. Now, is this the final answer? No. You can still solve this further because here you can see in the second bracket again there are two squares with negative in between them. So what you do? You add these two terms in one bracket, it will be a plus b, and subtract in another bracket. You cannot do anything for this first bracket, it will be as it is because there is positive sign between the two squares. Okay? I hope you have understood the question. So friends, now we move on to solve the next question. Question number 3, x raised to 4 minus y plus z raised to power 4. It's similar thing. Only difference is that there is a bracket with two terms there now. That is the only difference. So it will change a little bit. So let's try to solve this question. How can I write this x raised to 4 as? I can write it as x square to the power 2. Similarly, I have to write this as y plus z square to the power 2. So now we are going to use the formula a square minus b square is a plus b, a minus b. So how to use the formula? Just forget about the squares and add the two terms in one bracket sorry, and subtract in another bracket. So the forget about these two outer squares, and now whatever numbers are left, add them in one bracket. Okay, so x square and y plus z square, add them in one bracket and subtract them in another bracket. So x square and y plus z square, subtract in another bracket. Okay, so now can we solve this further? Yes, we can solve the second bracket further again because there are two squares with negative sign. So use the same funda again. We cannot do anything for the first bracket, right? We will have to keep it as it is, x square plus y plus z square, and we can do one thing. Okay, we will see afterwards. So first we will use this formula for the second bracket. So when we have two squares negative between them, what we do? We add these two terms in one bracket. So x and y plus z we are adding in one bracket, and x and y plus z we are subtracting in another bracket. So now when I take out the brackets, when I take out the second bracket, nothing is going to happen because there is positive sign in front of that bracket. So all the signs will remain as they are. But when I solve the last bracket and when I open this bracket, there is negative sign in front of it. So signs of all the terms which are inside the bracket will change. What was the sign to this y? There was no sign. That means it was positive. So it will become negative, and this positive z, it will also become negative. So this is very important thing to remember. Okay, and what you can do, you can just use a formula for this. You can see that there is a square, right? There is a square and there are two terms inside the bracket. So you can use this formula, a square plus 2ab plus b square. Only thing is that in place of a and b, there are y and z there. So how you can solve this? Y plus z square can be written as y square plus 2yz plus z square. That's it. Keep x square as it is. So x square is as it is. This becomes y square plus 2yz plus z square. So this is what we can do at the most. So this is our final answer, friends. I hope you have understood the question. Yes, friends. So now we move on to solve the last question. A raised to 4 minus 2a square b square plus b raised to 4. Actually, this is a different type of question. They have, by mistake, I think, put this question in this question number 4. Okay, it's a different type of question. We have solved this type of question earlier in question 1, 14.2 first question. Okay, so how to solve this? It's a trinomial, right? Three terms are there. Three terms means trinomial. Okay. So what we do in this type of question, we are going to factorize this using identity. We have solved this type of question. We check whether this first term is a square of any number. Yes, we know that it is a square of a square. Similarly, we check whether this third term is a square of any number. Yes, it is a square of b square. And then what we do, give the sign of middle term as it is. and then multiply these two terms by 2. 2 into a square into b square and check whether we get the same term as the middle term. Yes. So we can use the formula. This is actually now a square minus 2ab plus b square, that is a minus b whole square. We can use this formula now. So how to write the answer, friends? Now see, a square minus 2ab plus b square, answer is a minus b whole square. So what we do while writing the answer is, we write the first term whose square is there and the last term whose square is there and give the negative sign in between them, right, and give their whole square, write the whole square. So we write the first term whose square is there, forget about the square, write only a, right. So forget about the square, write only the term which is there, so it is a square. Similarly, forget about the square, write only the term which is there, b square, and give negative in between them and give the square. So this is our final answer, friends. A square minus b square whole square. If you want, you can write the two brackets. That means as it is a square, you can write that bracket twice with multiplication between them. So this is our final answer, friends. Hope you have understood this question very easily. So now this is very important question, question 5. These type of questions you will have in grade 9 also and grade 10 also, and even further. Till the time you have maths, you are going to have to solve questions of this type. These are called as quadratic equations. Okay, there is a separate chapter in grade 10 with the name of quadratic equations. Okay, so how to first identify what is meant by quadratic equation? Any equation whose degree is 2, for example, x square plus 5x minus 9. What is meant by degree now? Some of you might not be knowing what is degree. Degree is highest power of variable in a polynomial. Okay, so in this polynomial there are variables at two places. In the first term, the power is 3. In the second term, power is 2. What is the highest power? 3. So the degree we say is 3. Okay. Now the next one, 8x raised to 5 plus 10x raised to 6 minus 9x raised to 7 plus 100. Now in this polynomial, what is the highest power of the variable? It is 7. So we say that the degree of this polynomial is 7. So when do we say that the given equation is a quadratic equation or quadratic polynomial? We say it as a quadratic polynomial when the degree is 2, that is the highest power is 2. Okay, so highest power has to be 2, not less than that or not more than that also. And what is the standard form of a quadratic equation? This is a standard form of a quadratic equation. These two terms can be minus also. Example, 3x square plus 5x plus 6. This is the standard form. This a cannot be 0, okay? Understand one thing, a cannot be 0, b or c may be 0, no problem. That means you can have an equation like this, 6x square plus 0x minus 8. 0x means there is no x, so you can write it as this 6x square minus 8. Okay, it is the same thing, 6x square minus 8. These two are the same, these are not different. There is no term of x here. That means here the b is 0. It is also possible that it will be equation like this, 3x square plus 6x plus 0. There is no meaning to this 0. That means you can write the same equation as 3x square plus 6x. So see here, the c is 0, the last term, constant. So quadratic equation is an equation or is a quadratic polynomial equation we have in standard 10. Okay. So forget about the equation. Quadratic polynomial is a polynomial of the form ax square plus bx plus c, that is its degree is 2 and a cannot be 0. That means x square term must be there. X might not be there, constant might not be there, no problem. For example, 6x square plus 8x plus 6. Here we have all the terms a, b and c. Okay, it is possible 6x square plus 8x. Here we don't have c, right? We don't have the term constant term. Next, 3x square plus 7. Here we don't have the term b, that is, we don't have the term of x, but still this is a quadratic polynomial or quadratic binomial, but it's a quadratic. Okay, so how to solve these quadratic equations now? I have told you now how to identify the quadratic equation. Okay, so how to solve this? We have solved these type of questions in question 1. The questions were like this. Okay, x square plus 8x plus 16. Only difference was that it was a square. Okay, so a square plus 8a plus 16. We have solved this question in question 1, exercise 14.1. We solved this using formula identity. At that time, I had told you that we will solve this type of question using formula method. Oh, sorry, using factorization method. So now see, this question a square plus 8a plus 16, you can solve this using formula also, and you can solve it by factorization also. Okay, so this type of question can be solved by both the methods, because there are two squares here. See, a square, it is a square of a, 16 is a square of 4, and if you multiply these two terms by 2, give the sign of middle term as it is. If you multiply these two terms by 2, you get the middle term 8a. So you can write this as a square plus 2ab plus b square is equal to a plus b whole square. So you can write it as a plus 4 square. We have seen this in detail in question 1. But what if the two terms are not perfect squares? Like the first question here. First question here is p square plus 6p plus 8. So this 8 is not a perfect square. So you cannot solve this question by formula method which we used in first question 14.1. Okay. So we have to solve this by factorization only. That means factorization method can be used to solve any quadratic polynomial, but only few questions can be solved by using formula. So now, how to solve this quadratic polynomial now? It is of the form ax square plus bx plus c. Okay, I have told you already that these two terms can be negative also, no problem. Okay, so it is of this form. I can write, it's already in the standard form. I will write again p square plus 6p plus 8. Now how to proceed further? Multiply the first and last term. Coefficient, okay, forget about the variable p square. Multiply the coefficient. There was no coefficient with p square, that means it was 1. And don't think about signs also, okay. Just multiply the numbers. 1 times of 8 is 8. Now think about the numbers whose multiplication is 8. Okay, so one is we have already used 1 times of 8. Second is 4 times of 2. There is no other pair which will give us the multiplication 8, right? So out of these two pairs, one pair is going to be our answer. We are going to use that pair. Which pair to use? If you use the first pair, the numbers which are there in the first pair, if you add or subtract them, then you should get the middle term as the answer. Forget about the signs, okay? Just think about the numbers. If you add the numbers in the first pair, what will be the answer? 9. But you should get the middle term. What is the middle term? 6, but you don't get. If you subtract 8 minus 1, still you don't get the middle term 6. So that means this pair is of no use to us, okay? Forget this pair. Now, second pair is 4 and 6. If you add these two terms, you get the middle term 6. So that means this term, this pair is going to be useful for us. So how to solve this now further, okay? So write the first term as it is, write the last term as it is, don't change the sign of any term, okay? Keep them as it is, first term, last term. And now what we are going to do, we are going to split the middle term. So this method is also called as factorization by splitting the middle term, okay? So we are going to use this 4 and 2 in place of this 6, but the answer has to be same. That means I cannot write it like this plus 4 minus 2 because my answer will be plus 2 then. I cannot write it as minus 4 plus 2, otherwise my answer will be minus 2. I cannot write minus 4 minus 2, otherwise my answer will be minus 6. I have to write them as plus 4 plus 2 so that my answer is plus 6. What was the middle term? Plus 6. So I have to write them as plus 4p plus 2p. Now this is where most of the students make mistake. They make the mistakes in signs. They write any of these four. So, but signs are very important. So you have to just remember, I am going to tell you two fundas here, two formulas, okay, two statements which you can write them down, okay. If the last term is positive, see in this question the last term is 8 and it's positive, right? So if the last term is positive, then give the sign of middle term. What was the sign of the middle term? Plus. Give the sign of the middle term to both the numbers in the pair. This is very important. You will not have to think about signs then in any question, okay? I am going to tell you two formulas, two fundas. If the last term is positive, give sign of middle term, not positive I am saying, give sign of middle term to both the numbers, okay? And what if the last term is negative, like in the third question? What is third question? Third question is p square plus 6p minus 60. What to do in that case? If the last term is negative, I am just going to write the terms here, okay? If the last term is negative, first term is as it is, last term is as it is. We are going to do this in detail, okay? Don't worry. If the last term is negative, give the sign of middle term to bigger number only bigger number. So give this sign to bigger number only. So 2p will become negative. So you will never get wrong with the signs if you follow these two rules, okay? So we will solve this again from the first step, okay? P square plus 6p plus 8. We are going to do this again. P square plus 6p plus 8. What we did? We multiplied first and last term. What was the answer? 8 times 1 is 8. We found two pairs whose multiplication was 8. 8 ones are 8, 4 twos are 8. Out of these two pairs, only one pair is useful to us. If I add or subtract that pair, I should get the middle term as the answer, okay? So if I add 4 and 2, I get 6 as the answer. So this pair is useful for me. How do I solve this further? I write first term as it is and the last term as it is. And then what I do, as the last term is positive, I am going to give the sign of middle term to both the numbers. So in place of 6p, I am going to write plus 4p plus 2p. Now in plus 4p and plus 2p, you can write any term first, no problem. You can write plus 2p first, plus 4p afterwards, no problem, you will get the same answer. So now, how to proceed further? Now we have solved these type of questions where we had 4 terms, if you remember, right? What we did? We took something common from the first 2 terms and then again something common from the last 2 terms. And then we got 2 brackets which must be same, right? We have solved these type of questions now. So let's see what can we take common from the first 2 terms. P square can be written as p into p plus 4p I am writing as 4 into p. See, many students what they do, they write 4 as 2 times of 2. Okay, no problem, it's not wrong. But what is the use of doing this? See, what is common? in the first two terms now. Only p is common. So what remains inside the bracket is this p plus, you again have to multiply these 2 times of 2, 4. So there was no meaning in writing that 4 as 2 times of 2, because there was no number in the first term. It was only p square. So no need to find the factors of 4 there. Okay. Now what to do for the third and fourth term? 2p can be written as 2 into p and 8 will be written as 2 times of 4. In the last two terms, what is it that I can take common? I can take 2 common. What is the sign? Plus. So if I take 2 common, what will remain inside the bracket? It will be p plus 4. Now, have we got the 2 brackets same? Yes. So this is going to be our answer. The 2 brackets which are same, we are going to write them once, and in the second bracket we will be writing the terms which were outside the bracket, p plus 2. So this is our answer, friends. Final answer for the question. I hope you are getting the question. So friends, let's solve the second question. It's a similar one. Q square minus 10q plus 21. You will think, sir, you are taking too long to explain one question, but this is very important. You need to understand these questions. So friends, now we move on to solve the second question. Q square minus 10q plus 21. You will say, sir, you are taking too long to explain one question. But as I told you, these type of questions are very important for us to understand, because there is a chapter on quadratic equation in standard 10. You will get this type of question in class 9 also. And even if you are doing 11th, 12th or whatever you do after 10th also, you will still have quadratic equations to solve. So you must be perfect in solving the quadratic equation. Okay, even if at the middle of the night someone gives you a question, solve this quadratic equation, you should be able to solve it within 2 minutes. Okay, so what to do now? First, check whether the given equation is in a standard form. Standard form means x square should be the first term. There can be any variable, okay, in place of x square. Like this, in this question we have q square. Variable is not a problem. Square term, okay, term with square variable should be first, then the x and then the constant. X and constant can be negative, no problem. So here the question is already in the standard form. So what we do? We multiply the first and last term. I have already told you, don't think about the signs, okay, just multiply the terms. 21 times of 1 is 21. Now we find that numbers whose multiplication is 21. So I think there are only 2 pairs, 21 ones are and 7 threes are. Out of the 2 pairs, in few questions there might be more than 2 pairs also. Okay. So out of the given pairs, you have to choose that pair where if you add the 2 numbers or subtract the 2 numbers, you should get the middle term as the answer. So if I add 7 and 3, I get the middle term as the answer. So this is my important pair. This is my useful pair. 21 and 1 is not useful for me. Okay, forget about it. Now, how do we solve this further? I write first term as it is, last term as it is, whatever the signs they have. Okay, and I split the middle term and write. I am not going to write minus 10q now. In place of minus 10q, I have to write the terms 7 and 3, but without changing the value. So I have told you a simple rule in the last question also. If the last term is positive, what you do? Give the sign of middle term to both the numbers. So we will write this as minus 7q minus 3q. Okay. So you can write minus 3q first if you want, minus 7q afterwards. It's okay, no problem. Answer is going to be the same. Now this the second part. Now next part is very easy. We have solved this type of questions earlier. Okay, so take common from the first 2 terms. Q square can be written as q into q, 7q can be written as 7 into q. Similarly, for the last 2 terms, 3q I will write as 3 into q and 21 as 3 into 7. Now what can I take common from the first 2 terms? I can take q common. Please try to understand. This is q, not 9. Okay, my 9q, I have few problems with that. Okay? So try to understand. So this is q, and what remains inside the bracket is q minus 7, friends. Okay, and what about the last two terms? What can I take common? I can take 3 common. What is the sign to that 3? It's negative. And then what remains in the bracket is q plus 7. This is where many students make mistake. They have given, I have written the sign positive there, right? This is, I have written positive. This is where I have made the mistake. I have already told you in the last video also, give the sign whatever is there in the first bracket, give that sign in the second bracket. I have told you the reason also, okay. So what is the reason to do that? We have taken negative sign common, we have taken minus 3 common. So we have to change the sign of all the terms in the bracket. So minus q became plus, and this plus 7 becomes minus. So we forget this very easily. So what I have told you in the last video also, so when you take common, you have taken 3 common, what was the sign to that 3? Minus. What remains in the bracket? You can see q plus 7. But just look at what is there in the first bracket. You can see it's q minus 7. So just give that sign there. Okay? Do the magic. Now we have the two brackets same. So write that bracket in so we have q minus 7 as the first bracket and terms which are outside in the second bracket q minus 3. So this is our final answer, friends, for the second question. So now we are going to solve the third question and the last question of this question number 5. So question 5, we are going to use the second funda which I told you in this question, because see here the last term is negative. So let's start. First, check whether the given question is in the standard form or not. These two can be negative, no problem. First term is of x square, in place of x square there is p square. Okay, second term is of x, that means p, and the last term is constant. So yes, it is in standard form, no problem, no doubts. Now start solving. Forget the sign. Multiply 16 and 1. 16 times of 1 is 16. So find the pairs whose multiplication is 16. 16 times of 1 is 16, 8 times of 2 is 16, 4 times of 4 is 16. So we have 3 pairs this time. So now we have to choose that pair which will give us the middle term if we add or subtract them. So 16 and 1 if we add we will get 17, if we subtract we will get 15. We are not getting the middle term, forget that. 4 and 4 if we add get 8, subtract get 0, we don't get the middle term, so forget that also. Now 8 minus 2 we get 6, so this is our important pair. Now how to solve this further? Keep the first term as it is, keep the last term as it is, don't change the signs, okay. And now we don't write the middle term, we split that term into this 8 and 2. I told you how to give the signs, okay. Now if the last term is negative, give the sign of middle term to bigger number only bigger number, okay. So here the last term is negative, give the sign of middle term to bigger number only, so it will be plus 8p minus 2p. I have already told you, you can write 2p first if you want and 8p afterwards, but the signs are fixed now. 8 will be positive, 2 will be negative, okay. Yes, so now the next part is simple. P square I will write as p into p plus 8. I don't have to write the factors. 2 times of 4 there is no use, because in the first term we don't have any number, so we cannot take any number common, okay. So don't write the factors of 8 here. Now in the last two terms, minus 2p I will write minus 2 into p, 16 as, don't use the formula 4 here, don't write it as 4 times of 4. What is the use? Because what is common in the last two terms, it is 2 which I can take common, right? Not 4. See, whatever the last two terms, 2 and 16, we have to see which is that biggest number which can divide both. So 1 can divide both, 2 can divide both, right? So 2 is the biggest number which can divide both. So we have to use the table of 2 only. Okay, so don't write 16 as 4 times 4. Now, what can I take common from the first two terms? I can take p. If I take p common, what will remain inside the bracket will be p plus 8. And what about the last two terms? I can take 2 common from the last two terms. What is the sign there? Minus. Now this is where again students will make mistake. They will write it as p minus 8 because they see minus here. But I have told you now, whatever sign is there in the first term, do the magic abracadabra and give that sign there. Okay, I have also told you the reason for that. So now, so we get the two brackets same. We write that bracket once and we write the other terms in the second bracket, that is p minus 2. So friends, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope, I am sure, not hope, I am sure you must have understood the quadratic equations. Actually, I am going to give you few more examples, some different examples of different books, R.D. Sharma, R.S. Agrawal, and I will explain few more different types of quadratic equations to you in my next video. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, I request you to please subscribe to the channel and you can share with your friends also. And I am waiting for your comments. You can go to the comment box and give me the comments. I will answer the comments. Okay. Please take care. Bye bye. See you in the next video.